What time is it?
Hello and welcome to Martial Arts Chat Podcast, and in this episode we'll be covering the Ontop Weekender show this Friday and Saturday. We'll be speaking to the main event for the professionals, Houston versus Jessing, as well as speaking to amateurs for Friday's events. And later in the show we'll be getting the thoughts of Mr. Ontop himself, James Lake. But first, let's start up in SBG Inverness, where we spoke to 2-0 professional Mr. Ross Houston. And Ross, thank you very much for giving us your time today on the Martial Arts Chat Podcast, sir.
No problem, John. Thanks for having me.
Fight is not too long away for you, but first, and I guess most obvious question to you, sir, is how's training been with weight cutting for your third professional fight?
Yeah, training's going well. Same old, really. Like, we don't, I wouldn't just call it a training camp, we're just training all year round, you know, so all it is just it takes a couple of weeks just to sharpen up the tools.
Yeah.
And like you say, just get them last few kilos down. But I'm not massive for the weight, so it's not the hardest cut in the world. But not that enjoyable. I wouldn't say it's the best thing I've ever done. But yeah, going well.
Excellent, sir. And for this camp up in SBG Inverness, how excited are you for competing on the main card of the competition for Ontop at the Onyx Arena? I
can't wait for it. It's just a massive opportunity, really. There's a few funny turns of events, because I was meant to be fighting. I was still on the pro card, but I was meant to be fighting a bit further down the card against a Lithuanian guy, Ramunas Venslavas or something like that. Okay. But he pulled out, and I got that news from James, and I was a bit gutted. But then literally straight after, he told me that I think Alan Johnson had pulled out of the main event title fight.
Yes.
And he was meant to be fighting some Danish dude. So he's just matched me up with this guy from Denmark, man. So I'm absolutely buzzing for it. Can't wait.
Last time we saw you compete was back in June for Cage Warriors 76 in Newport. A first round armbar finish for you there against fellow debutant Dane Morgan. How did you feel going into that contest, and does that set you up nicely for when you come to face Thomas Jessing?
Yeah, I guess it does. You know, it's a bigger stage than I'm used to fighting on, but I felt relaxed. It was fighting down in Newport, so it was hostile territory, you might say, but didn't feel phased at all. Felt relaxed, and he felt relaxed. Got the job done. On to the next one, really.
Excellent stuff. So more on your opponent then. He's 3-1 as a professional. He's got a lot of submission victories in his professional and in his amateur career as well. Have you had a chance to check him out? And if so, how do you rate his game, his style?
Yeah, me and my coaches had a quick look at him. He seems good. I think seems like he's got a good top game for I think like people he's beat. Like if they let him settle on top, then he's got quite good top pressure. But seems well rounded. He's got a half decent kicking game, but I don't think he'll give me too much trouble.
You're not worried. Fair play, sir. As we alluded to earlier, we saw you on Cage Warriors back in June. Is that a promotion we're likely to see you again compete in the future, Ross?
Definitely. I spoke to Ian Dean after the show, and he I don't know if he was just saying it, but he said he was impressed and he'd like to have me back on the show. So I'm going to try and keep in touch with him and maybe hassle him a bit to try and get me back on the show on a later date. But to be honest, I was going to try and push and ask him to get me on a show around about this time. But the thing is, when I spoke to James Lake, there was this opportunity came up. Well, it was meant to be a title eliminator, because there was a bit of a back and forth talk between a few people, and this is the fight I was meant to have was a title eliminator. So I was like, right, let's do it. You know, because if it was just a fight, then I probably would have tried to push for the Cage Warriors fight to get on Cage Warriors again. But I think the opportunity was there, and I've made a good choice, and turns out it's an even bigger opportunity than originally I thought. So all good.
Excellent, good for you, sir. And before we let you go, Ross, are there any sponsors, anyone you want to give a shout out to or mention to prior to Ontop's Weekender?
I just want to say a big thanks to all my sponsors. Firstly, Spar Builders Scotland Limited, also GM Leach Materials Handling, GS Plumbing and Heating, Ace Joiners, thank you to the Larder, and Nest Prep, which both supply my day-to-day nutrition and meals. Thank you to Hamilton Therapeutics, who's my sports masseuse, really keeps me in good nick. Thank you to Lima Auto Body Shop based in Elgin. Thank you to Creative Sign and Print for providing me with my t-shirt printing, all my logos, banners, etc. And last but not least, thanks to Gavin Laird from the Forge Gym for providing a training facility for all the guys and girls at SBG and Vanessa to train out of. Also, again, thanks to all my team from SBG Inverness, SBG Murray, anyone who helps me train, and the whole of the SBG UK lot.
This is going to be some t-shirt and banner. I can't wait to see this. This is going to be spectacular.
I know, man. It's a big one. To be honest, thanks to all my I've got a really good support network between friends, family, my girlfriend, sponsors, and just my teammates and as a whole. We like keeping each other in check all year round. When one of us is fighting, we're all there to help them prep for the fight, and vice versa. So I've really got a good support network. So each win I get is really down to them. It really is a team sport. You couldn't do it on your own.
Yeah, fair play, mate. Fair play to you, sir. Well, Ross, it's been an absolute pleasure to get your time here today on the show. We're all looking forward to you competing at Linwood, and at this time we say best of luck come the 22nd of October, sir.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, John. I'll catch you there.
Thank you to Ross for his time, and now to his opponent that night. He's 3-1, looking to make it 4. He is, of course, Thomas, the immortal Jessing, on the show today, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm honoured to be on your show.
Ontop is just round the corner now, sir. I guess the first and most obvious question is, how has training been with weight cut for welterweight and training for your 5th professional fight?
Oh, the training is going great. The weight cut is also going fine. It's I usually keep my carbs while I train for the fight. I never go down on carbs. I don't want to risk my conditioning. So I'm eating well. I'm feeling great. I don't feel tired or anything. I had 3 sessions today, but I feel good.
Excellent. It's good to hear, sir. Last time we saw you compete was against Andy Corner for the Soma promotion. You got another victory there, of course, via submission, this time arm triangle choke. Submission victories have been very successful for you in your professional career so far. I guess what I'm asking is that the game plan going into your fight against Ross Houston?
It's actually quite ironic because all these fighters, they took me to the ground. And as a fighter, I'm pretty well-rounded, but I actually prefer to keep the fight standing. But we ended up in the ground, and I'm pretty slick on the ground. But I prefer to keep the fight standing, and that's the way I like it.
Yeah, fair play, sir. And I guess that's what makes you a dangerous fighter. You're saying there that you prefer standing up, but if it goes to the ground, you've certainly got no problems there, that's for sure. Just touching more on your opponent then, to Houston. He's 2-0 as a professional and 2-2 as an amateur. How do you rate the Jiu-Jitsu misfit and SBG fighter? Have you had a chance to see him fight? Have you had a chance to see his style at all?
I've seen a couple of fights, yes, and my management saw some fights too. My coaches. I actually think he might be more. I think he's more dangerous than Johnston. I think his striking is more crisp, and he might even have more slick jiu-jitsu than Johnston as well. I think he's dangerous, really dangerous. It's a good challenge.
Just touching, just because you brought him up, the fight with Johnson was obviously scheduled prior to this. Was that disappointing news when that was rescheduled? Did you have to change anything in your training or your game at all?
No, I didn't have to change anything, like in the training or anything. I had the same. I'm going after the same game plan anyway. So
yes,
I wanted to bang with both of them actually, but of course it was a huge disappointment because the Johnson fight I was notified like 4 months ago. So I've been preparing for 4 months, and
yes.
And it's because he beaten a former UFC fighter, he beaten a current UFC fighter, and I was going to beat him, and so there was a little bit, I've had fighters swap before, and I can deal with that. But it took me a couple of days to get over the Johnston thing. But I'm ready for this guy because I think he's going to bring it.
It certainly sounds like it. And as we mentioned earlier, this fight taking place at the Onyx Centre in Linwood, a regular home for James Lake and the guys at Ontop. After Houston, if you get this W, what is the plan after this? Or are the future fights lined up with Ontop, or are you interested in keeping your options open?
Well, I would like a shot at Johnston. He's not getting away from me yet. But I'm open to many different promotions. If there's a good fight, there's a good show, I'm always ready. I just want to fight, and we'll see what's out there after this fight. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to return to Ontop at one point.
Excellent, sir. Well, we will look forward to that if that's the case. Finally, Thomas, before we let you go, are there any sponsors or anyone you want to give a shout out to whilst you're here on the Martial Arts Chat podcast, sir?
Well, I can thank I want to thank Reebok, Pure Pharma, Knockout Sports, Naco, and of course my gym, Art Suave, and New Life Gym in Glasgow, and Butcher's Lab. That's about it.
Excellent, sir. Well, Thomas, it's been a pleasure to get your time on the show here today. Best of luck come Ontop, and we look forward to seeing you fight, sir.
Thank you.
Are you looking for a new MMA website to check out? Then get over to MMAWreckage.com for the latest news, analysis, videos, in-depth blogs, fighter interviews, and more. From the local shows to the UFC, MMAWreckage.com has you covered. You can find MMA Wreckage on social media, on Twitter at MMA Wreckage, or on Facebook at Facebook.com/MMA Wreckage. So stay up to date with all things MMA at MMAWreckage.com.
This show is sponsored by MMA UK. Go to MMAUK.net for all your news, interviews, results, rumours, live play-by-plays, fight videos, opinion articles, and much, much more for the world of MMA. MMA UK is not just a website or a business, but more importantly, for the fans. Find MMA UK on Facebook and on Twitter as We Are MMA UK.
Welcome to the Martial Arts Chat podcast, and we're continuing our coverage and build for Ontop's Weekender of amateur and professional fights, both Friday and Saturday. That's the 21st and the 22nd of October. And I'm pleased to say we are joined at this time by one of the amateurs fighting on that card, good friend of the show, Mr. Don Wilson. Don, how are you, sir?
I am good.
It's a wee bit odd this. We were just speaking prior to the show. Usually we have Don joining us on panel shows as part of Fight Talk Scotland, and we spend most of the time, mate, analysing, breaking down, or slagging off fighters, maybe, depending on who it is.
I'm in the other seat today.
That's it.
A bit different.
We've got you here as part of your amateur bout for Ontop, and quite a bit of a weight cut. You were telling me, mate. You've dropped a bit of weight and feeling good for this one, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I took the fight. It's been a few years since I fought, and the weight was going on, and I got back into a routine of training. Yeah. Like some like, how did you lose the weight? Oh, I took a fight and started training for that, and they kind of look at me and laugh. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, I can't just go to the gym and just go, well, I need to lose weight. Let's eat healthy. Go to the gym. It's like I need to have some sort of motivation. And I always think if I'm training, if I take a fight and I go right, it's either I train or I get barred. So I better train. So yeah, coming down a good bit. What I think, 104 kilograms down to 82.
Oof, that's good.
Yeah, it's quite a bit, but yeah, I'm pretty much there. Yeah, it's not much left to go now. And
have you still got a couple of kilograms in ways to go? We're just over about a week now from the fight.
Yeah, just got a couple. That's I shouldn't even, obviously it's amateur, so I don't want to cut. I don't want to actually have to dehydrate myself for that, because it's same day weigh in. So yeah, I'm only about I think 1.8 kilograms away from it.
And what's your plan going forward? We were speaking prior to the show, and you've had a few amateur bouts now, but quite a gap from now to your last one. Was it 4 years? You were telling me. Is this going to be a one-off for you, mate, or are you going to try and do maybe a couple more down the line?
No, I did say some people were kind of, oh, is this just to lose weight? And I says no. I've been for Fight Talk Scotland. I've been covering fights obviously the last few years, and every time I go to these events, I'm like, oh, I want to get back in there.
Yeah.
And I say to myself, like, I've just turned 30. It's like I want to I'd love to get back in there before obviously I get to the point